A lot of men today are pissed off or angry. We're angry because we know our lives could be better. They should be better. We have most of human history to look back on and see that life can be better. And in a lot of other periods of human history, we've seen that men have had the ability to act freely in society without fear of being chastised or condemned or chased off as being a creep. They've had a measure of stability and peace in the past. And at the very least, a loving wife, if not a family and a home. Today, it seems like we have none of those things. Today, it seems like we can't really even navigate in society freely without having to apologize for our existence and put up with endless amounts of condemnations just for existing as a man. And all of that makes us pissed off, makes us angry. We know we deserve more. We know we deserve better. And unfortunately, that anger is very consuming. That anger leads us to hide, to retreat, to stay home, play video games, hang out with the few friends that we have, or maybe be pissed off that we don't have any friends. It leads us to retreat from the world. And perhaps the biggest insult on top of it is when we are actually vocal about how pissed off we are that our lives are not what they should be, that there are mass injustices that are ruining our lives. The whole world tells us to shut up and condemns us for being angry and calls us toxic for being angry and then condemns us for being repressors as well. They tell us to repress our anger while then condemning us for being repressors. Yeah, that's definitely not going to piss us off even further. But the thing is, what the world also doesn't tell us what to do is how to deal with our emotions. See, our emotions, all of them, including things like anger and sadness and despair and hopelessness, all the emotions that we have are there to tell us something. They're there for a reason, and they are all useful. Now, there's a kind of anger that we really don't feel much anymore, particularly not in this sense, and that is what I would call righteous anger, meaning there's something morally wrong happening, something that is hurting you, not just in sense of something minor or trivial, but something that is seriously destructive in terms of the state of your life, and it makes you anger. And it's that anger, this righteous anger, that fuels your retaliation to do something about it. And I think a lot of us guys need to realize that that anger can be like a springboard into doing something about the state of your life. Anger can feel like it's only a negative thing. We can feel like we need to hide it away, that it'll hurt people's feelings if we express it, or it'll be destructive, or to show anger means going around and breaking stuff and hurting people and being destructive. But that's not how emotions work. That's not how anger works. We can utilize our negative emotions like anger in a productive way. And that's what righteous anger should be seen as, is utilizing that anger as a way of seeing that there is something really wrong with your life. It's true that the world has created scenario after scenario after scenario that only hinders our ability to live a good life. It's nearly impossible to make friends because of loads and loads of factors. People being so isolated from each other, people being so hostile and judgmental of each other. Not to mention things like the insanity of social media and so on and so forth. Feminism making it nearly impossible to talk to a woman, to simply talk to her, to even to become friends, let alone to have a girlfriend or a wife or a family. It's nearly impossible to have a home and so on and so forth. There's loads of reasons why you should feel upset. And it's easy to let that anger and resentment and bitterness consume you and just lead you to stay home and wallow in that feeling. We wallow when we don't see any way forward. But what righteous anger to me means is listening to that anger and saying, I see that something is deeply wrong and I want to do something about it. It's letting that anger inform you to action, to move you, to do something positive. Now, I'm not saying you should go out and let that anger fuel you to do something destructive or negative, like, shouting at feminists or something. It needs to be a positive, constructive fuel. And the way I see it is, we have been reduced to the state of feeling like, who's going to let me live? Who's going to let me ask a woman out? Who's going to let me live the life that I want to live? And that's the wrong way to approach life. How we should be feeling about life is, who will stop me? Let that anger be a springboard to get you to start changing your life, to be furious about the fact of that. Let that anger be a springboard to launch you into changing your life, to let that anger be a springboard to get you to start changing your life, to start ruthlessly going after the things that you want. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not saying trample over others to get what you want, but rather not letting people trick you into making you feel like you have no agency over your life, because you absolutely do. We all do. It's just we've been tricked into feeling like we don't. And that's what that anger is screaming at you to do something. Do something about it. We have a lot more power than we realize, a whole lot more power. And in fact, loads of men throughout history have had way less power and have accomplished a whole lot more than a lot of us are. And I find that in a way comforting, because it's sort of a proof of how actually we can do a whole lot more than we realize. We've just been tricked into believing that we can't. We feel like we can't. But let that negative emotion, that anger, the resentment, let it scream at you to do something positive to change your life. Start taking up a hobby. Start writing your thoughts down every day. I've found that to be incredibly helpful. Spend an hour every day to write your thoughts down. It could be anything. It could be about how angry you are. It could be about how you think what I'm saying is stupid. Then try spending an hour trying to do something about it every day. It's only an hour. Every single day, try and put in a little bit of effort moving toward the thing that you want. If it's a girlfriend that you want, try thinking about places that you could go to meet a woman that you would actually like. Try thinking about getting into social circles. Try thinking about meeting male friends and making a friend group in order to then have the opportunity to meet, associated female friends. Loads and loads of relationships start through acquaintances. I think most relationships start that way. So try and position yourself in places where you'll actually meet one. Take steps to change your life, small steps. 1 hour every single day to do something to change your life. And let that anger and resentment fuel that of, I don't want my life to be like this, and I'm tired of letting other people make my life like this. I'm going to do something about it, and I'm not going to let other people keep me from living the life that I want to live. Something you might consider doing too is moving. I know it's easier said than done, but where we live has a huge impact on how we feel and how we live. And it's also, there's a lot more places in the world that have very different atmospheres, different attitudes, different people. I mean, just in the US, I live in the US, and just throughout the US, loads of different cities, loads of different states will have very different attitudes, very different demeanors, very different approaches to life. I've been shocked at the quality of the women, for example. From Seattle to some of the little cities around Seattle to Austin to Dallas to Houston. I mean, the quality, every single city, they're very, very different. Some places they're way, way nicer, way more approachable. Other places they're downright totally unapproachable. I'd never move there. Again, I know it's easier said than done, but the thing is it's your life. And as unjust and fucked up as what the world has created for us, the environment the world has created for us, all the people around us, as fucked up as it is, it's still down to ourselves to do something about it, to change what our lives are like. Or, because the only alternative is just to sit around and complain about it. And, well, when you see that as your options, I think it becomes an easy choice. Why I bring all this up is because it's easy for people to talk about changing your life from a positive standpoint, because I think usually people do. They're like, oh, think about how good your life will be when you change. That's a lot harder to do when you're not quite there yet, because all you're filled with are the negative emotions of, I hate my life is like this. I hate the fact that I'm going to live a whole life without the things that I want in it. Let that be a fuel for you, of imagining being 90 years old and reflecting on a life you didn't seize, a life you didn't go after all the opportunities you could have. Because the thing is it's better to fight for a life, to fight for the happiness that you deserve, rather than just to stay home and let it die without even trying. Embrace that anger as a positive fuel source for your desire to change. Let the reason for that anger be, make it clear to you why you need to change too. And if you really want to learn more about how emotions work and how you can understand your emotions and gain control over them, I wrote a small book on introspection that you can find in the description below. If you've looked at it before, it used to be, I think it was a little overpriced, and I've lowered the price to make it a little bit more accessible. It's the first thing I've ever put up for sale, and I'm still trying to figure out how pricing and all that works. But yeah, check it out, and I really hope that you get something out of it. I've been considering releasing the introduction to that book as a freebie, so I'll let you know if I ever do that. Yeah, I hope you got something out of this video. Let me know if you got something out of it, or if you disagree or agree in the comment section below. Like the video if you liked it, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks so much.
No way! That's great!